excited. Welcome to Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies. Every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we come to you, and every week we bring you a featured guest speaker, and tonight's no exception. I am Joy Ruffen. My work is as a signature style specialist. I'm in leadership, speaker, executive producer, TV host, and podcast, and it's all connected. It's all aligned. My work is with women who want to or are in the process of transitioning into all that they're here to be, the best of the best of the best. And these are the women that we work with who want to amp up their wow factor a little bit more. And we'll talk about that. Women who are in leadership. And tonight, my featured guest speaker, I have a hard time with her last name, but she's forgiving. It's Renee Reisch. And let me tell you, Renee is phenomenal, fantastic. I've known her for quite a while. She is an inner voice coach. She's dedicated to supporting women through the transformation journey and the vulnerability to empowerment. Her work is exceptional, and I could go on and tell you a lot more about her, but you know, the 30 minutes or the 28, 27 that we have, it goes so quickly. I just want you to relax. Whatever that is to you. For me, it might be a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, a glass of a cocktail, whatever it is, and relax and help me to welcome our featured guest speaker tonight. Renee, as they say in the TV, come on up. How are you?
I'm great, Joy. Thank you so much for having me here. And you did a great job with my last name.
You're too kind and too considerate because I do have a hard time. Most everyone knows this with pronunciations. It takes me quite a while, but I get there. But you know, Renee, let's forget about the semantics and not be too persnickety about things, which you're not. And I'm grateful to you for that. But your journey, your record, the work that you're doing is phenomenal. And I want you to talk about how you came to be the inner voice coach that you are today, which I know all about, but I want you to share that with the audience.
Thank you so much, Joy. Well, as you know, my story is one of really resilience and losing my own voice in 2013 and being told that I may never speak again. So the inner voice coach came about because of my own roadblocks and needing to fill the gap in my own life. So, you know, I always say, get out of your head and into your heart. It's the things that we say to ourselves, those inner conversations of not good enough, you know, the limiting beliefs, the fear of judgment, the low self-esteem and low self-worth, and looking for outside validation for your own inner worth. And I did that. I did that for many, many years. And so the inner voice coach came to be because it's the thing that I needed to get, I guess, unstuck from where I was, like point A, you know, where you are to where you want to be, and how to fill that gap and bridge it so you can get to the place of empowerment. And so that's where it started. It was from my own evolution and my own experience in losing my voice in 2013 and being told by doctors that I may never speak again.
Boy, that had to be beyond heavy. You know, that's why I gave you the title, Finding Your Voice and How to Find and Understand It. So you've explained to us a little bit and really clearly about how you came to this work. And then 2013, being told that you would not find your voice or use it or have it again, that had to be beyond traumatic. But tell us, what is the understanding of the inner voice? What is it? What is that inner voice? I think we all kind of know, but we need to hear it from another voice, and especially a voice like yours that's gone through this experience. What is and how do we get to understanding what the inner voice is all about?
Thank you, Joy. It's really knowing those conversations that you have with yourself that you're not even aware, because it's that inner voice of, like I said earlier, the not good enough, the, you know, I was in corporate America, and no matter what I did and how hard I worked and strived to be the best, number one, I was running multi-million-dollar teams, and I never felt like I had ever done enough, because the more I did, the more they gave me to do, and they never gave me more pay. And guess what? I never asked. Why didn't I ask? I felt my own story that if they thought, they being the corporate people I was with, that as a leader, if they thought I deserved it, they would have offered it to me. I never said, well, you're giving me all this responsibility, you know, I would like some more pay with this. If you're increasing my all the things I need to do, then I need to get more pay with this. And I didn't ask. I was afraid to speak up. I was afraid to use my voice. I didn't want to compromise or jeopardize the position I held. And so I just kept quiet, and I, like that good little girl, just go and do what you're asked to do and don't say anything, be seen and not heard. Well, I had to be heard for my teams because I had to speak to what the expectation was. But I never really spoke up for what I really wanted or believed, because I felt like that the need to be liked, to be accepted. But you have to be able to accept yourself. And so the inner voice was really due to the external rather than the internal. The internal was the words that you kept hearing, growing up and in corporate America, that I kept hearing, of never being enough, never feeling good enough, never feeling like I was fitting in or doing what I needed to do, always having to work extra hard to get to where I wanted to be. And then I achieved it and never felt that was good enough. So kept again and again and again. And I'm doing this because it's like going, 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 and never feeling it would ever be enough, and that I would never be enough until I no longer had a voice in which to speak.
Wow. Whew. There's so much to address there and to speak to. And you delivered that quite well, as I'm sure you've been doing for quite a while, and needed to be heard. I have a beautiful group that I'm with, and the leader there always says that we have to ask for what we want. And we, Renee, as women across all borders, every generation, the program, the conditioning, the sexual, all of that stuff, most of us find it very difficult to ask for our worth. And that's what you're speaking to. Now, let me ask you something that kind of segues into that, but yet a little bit. What do you think, and what do you know? Why did you lose your voice?
I honestly believe that the physical loss of my voice manifested from the metaphoric loss of my voice in life. So, like I was saying, the people pleasing, the fear of judgment, the limiting beliefs that I didn't even know I had, but it was that inner voice telling me, like, who do you think you are? You'll never be good enough. Just, keep going, keep going, keep going. And no matter what you do, it's not going to be good enough. And so I equated the what I was doing not good enough to me not being good enough. Because if I was the one doing the things, then I was the one that wasn't good enough. If I didn't make a goal, if I didn't, achieve what I was asked, or I would like have to, work extra hard and get it done. And then I did. And then I ended up, my teams were number one in the country, the district, the region. I mean, every which way, a beating company, and I still never felt like I was good enough. I always had to exceed where I was because, okay, if I did this, then now I have to do that. It wasn't ever being satisfied or being, feeling good enough for me, just being me and doing what I did and saying, great job, Renee. You did a great job. I never said that to myself. I always look for the external to feel good internal.
What you just said is beyond, 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 because this is where we're all at now, Renee. All of us, men and women, but especially women, because of all of that programming and that how we were taught, shown to be women. It's off. And now it's time to know our own power, to get into it, to connect to it, relate to it, embrace it, and utilize it in love. Has to be in love. So that's why I ask you, what do you think? And your explanation of why you lost it, your voice, is beyond powerful. I hope that people are listening and they have received what you said, because for us women, that's so important. And you don't have to be age in any generation to get that. You can understand that at any level. And you also, when you spoke to that, you spoke to your next comment, what you gave me was some of the challenges that we have with discovering and finding and connecting and being on top of that inner voice. So what other challenges, I mean, you spoke to them, but how can you explain or share with us a little bit more about some of the challenges that we as women have to first off acknowledge and then move forward? What are some of those inner voice challenges?
It's to know, though the challenge would be overcoming it, right? That's the opportunity. I don't want to say challenge. the opportunity, because if you look at it, it's how you think of something, how you perceive something is really your own version of it. And when you look at things through a lens of, an opportunity rather than a challenge is like, oh, it's a challenge. It's hard. It's difficult. If someone offers you an opportunity, you're like, oh, it's an opportunity. I can do this. It's something that I can achieve. So that's the first thing, is the mindset, to rewire the hard wiring that's been implemented there since probably age 4 to 7, from people we know, like, and trust, whether it's a parent, a guardian, a teacher, people we spend a lot of time with. And it literally becomes that hard wire, but you've got to rewire it. And that's what I do. That's why I created the Voice Blueprint, to take women from vulnerability to empowerment. You've got to start with the V, because that's where it is. That's where it begins. Get real with yourself. And just because we become adults, it doesn't mean we figured it all out. If it was never addressed as we were growing up, and it was just more hard wiring, it was like tightening the screws to what you are and who you are in this life. And what you do doesn't mean it's who you are. You may do a job in life, but it doesn't mean who you are intrinsically. If you can come into alignment, what you're doing with who you're becoming and who you are being in this world, then you're really finding your true voice. If you're able, and when you're able, to speak up and set those healthy boundaries. When people say something that doesn't align with you, it's always how you say more than what you say, how you deliver those messages with your voice, with respect and with compassion for others.
Ah,
That's using your voice.
listen, all of that verbiage beautifully delivered. You mentioned it in the beginning when I asked you. It all comes down to, and especially for us as women, and we have to be honest with ourselves. You delivered that beautifully, but let's make it very succinct. It's self-awareness, being
Oh, yeah.
honest with yourself and being able to say, I need some help, I need some support, I need some guidance, I need some love, and I'm going to start with me to deliver. You're using the verbiage hardwired. Sounds good, that's corporate language, I get that. But self-awareness is where we have to go, probe, go deep, and get into the inner knowing of who we are. And that's what we as women across the board, across the borders, that's what we have missed because of that programming. And some of us can't even acknowledge that. So that's why I applaud and celebrate the work that you're doing, because into that self-awareness, you go into the self-love and the self-acceptance.
I was just gonna say that, literally, you literally just took the words out of my mouth, Joy. I actually just posted about that today on LinkedIn. I do a lot of posting on LinkedIn, and it comes down to self love. When you're around people, and we're around people a lot, whether you're in person or online on Zoom calls, however you're meeting with people, it's the communication, and you've got to start communicating first with yourself. I have a routine. I don't jump in and
Yeah.
get into the outside work. I do my inner work before I address anything outwardly, whether I'm going on a call or whatever it is. I am always going to do my morning routine, which is
Yes.
about me. It's about me. It's about how I wake up in the morning, the routine I have. And that is, I do journaling, I do gratitude. You got to be grateful for what you have, and don't really look for what you don't have. It's easy to say, I don't want this, I don't want that to happen. Be grateful for the things you have in life. And that's the instrument that you get to play every day. And that's your voice.
I love that. That's the instrument. Oh, Renee, that was beautiful. I take in a lot of stuff in different ways. That's the instrument that you have to play with. I love to have fun. I'm very serious, but fun. Let's have some fun and play with stuff as we're evolving, as we're growing. That was
Yes.
beautiful. I just really think the work that you're doing for all of us is so needed. And that's why you're here. And I'm so grateful that you are. My engineer is going to put you in the green room for a brief second. I'm going to do a little reset, and then I'll come back to you. And I want to talk about what you're talking about, what we're talking about in a different way. I want to talk about the empowerment that we all can gather through the voice and why that's so major for all of us. And Renee, I know you work with both men and women, but I'm speaking to predominantly women. But I want to invite all of you out there just to be aware, no, because you have ladies, to join the Facebook group, Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies. We need you there. We are building a community of like-minded women and some who are maybe not so like-minded, because we are full of diversity. We want to grow. We want to expand. We look for your vision, your mission, and your purpose because it's needed. And the more we collaborate and connect and grow together, the more powerful we're going to be in knowing who we are and finding our innate, true, God-given voice, which is what Renee and I are talking about tonight. So come and join us there. The link is there. Take a screenshot, take a snapshot, whatever, and go and join the group. I spoke with two beautiful ladies today. They're going to come and join us, and we keep growing and expanding, and we will continue to do so. And when you get there, you have an assignment. It's to connect with all the other ladies that you feel in alignment with. Don't we love that? And the other thing I want to mention to you, and Renee and I are talking about it, we do the same work, but in a different style, a different method, technique. Everyone, most everyone, is familiar with something called human design. I have put together a freebie called Designing You, because you need to go. We all need to go, even if we think we're all knowing, which is deadly, on a treasure hunt to find your magic, which is what Renee did, which is what I do, which is what we're all about or ought to be about, because this will give you great insight to all the options and possibilities that are innate within you that you either began to develop or maybe you're developing them already. You can master them, because that's what we're here to do, become the master of ourselves. So exciting. And then my silver package, at long last, it's here. And I want you to partake of that. Again, take a screenshot, take a snapshot. It's 3 weeks plus bonuses. And the 3 weeks are full of the beginning, elementary beginning stages of what many of us think we know when we think we are taught, but we don't. And so you'll get a lot of powerful information there that will benefit you on your journey. And then, Renee, I want you, before we go any further, because I know you wrote this fabulous book, I want you to put up that book, because we've been speaking about it in different ways. Show the audience that book. They can see that Finding Your Voice, Unlock Your, read that, Unlock your
chains and unleash your greatness.
I love that. And they can find this where, my love?
That's on my website. So just go to www.reneereisch.com and it's right there. So definitely get that. It'll take you to Amazon. You can pick it up there. But everything is on my website. My coaching, I have a magazine. I've got opportunities there to connect with me. And I love connecting with people. And, that's what this is about. It's about using our voice. And you said something earlier. First of all, I work mostly with women. You said I have worked with men, but my coaching is mostly women. I do speaking engagements as well and corporate events. So anybody's looking for a speaker or a coach, please let me know. Yeah, this is something that I'm just really passionate about, because as I said earlier to you, Joy, it's something that I needed. I wrote the book, and in all honesty, I almost didn't write the book, because for the reason that I said earlier, like, who am I? Like, who cares about what I've done? And I had to come to that conclusion. And I had to actually, when I went out in nature one day, I'm like, I just had to be in ground. And it's like, it's not about you in as much as what you can do to serve other people because of what you've gone through. Yes. So I was like, who really cares about what I've done? Who cares what I've been through? People lose their voice in other ways. But this, I felt, you know what, Renee, you got to get this message out there. You've got to tell your story. Absolutely. Because many countless women have felt suppressed and repressed. I'm not saying that men don't either. For sure you have. But what happened in my situation, being a woman, I didn't speak up in business or in life, personally or professionally. I just wanted people to like me. I didn't want to make the waves. Now I got waves I make in the ocean. But it really was important to me to tell my story, because I felt that there's a lot of other women out there who don't speak their truth, whether you're in corporate America and, you're just not speaking up. You're not asking for that raise, or you're staying in a thankless job because you don't think you deserve better, but you do. And connect with me and let me know. I can help you.
Absolutely. And what you just said is so prevalent. And this is where honesty comes in. And it's so true for the majority of women. It's not true for a lot of women. Nothing is. But too many women are still under this delusional upbringing programming that many of us were brought up under, that you're not good enough, that you're valuable, that you could be this, that, or the other. But when it comes to elevating and asking whatever it might be, you're not worthy. And that's because somewhere the missing key of that self-awareness, the intention was there, but something went amiss. And it's up to us as we become adults to find out what that is. And sometimes it takes all kinds of, sometimes tragedy, sometimes the reverse, to get to know what that is. That's why I celebrate what you're doing. Now, before we go on, you and I both, I want to talk towards the end about something that we're both involved with, which is a lot with what you're doing. But what about the empowerment that you come through the inner voice and political strategies for inner voice development? What can you share with us that will give us some seeds, some tips that we can use in that direction as we move forward? And first of all, we have to be honest with ourselves and know what we're missing.
Yeah, for sure, Joy. One thing I want to make clear is that the voice blueprint, it's something that I created based on my own experience.
Yes.
So as I said earlier, it does take you from vulnerability to empowerment, and it's the 5 pillars. And within those 5 pillars are 3 key components, along with 3 actionable steps that people can implement starting today. Good. And that's why I created. I wanted something that people can actually start implementing, not like,
yes,
all this time, you got to do all these things. So the pillars take you along your own journey of finding your voice, and wherever that is, or wherever that leads, I guide you through it. So when I say the word help, I don't really like the word help because it makes people feel helpless.
Support.
It's really, I'm your guide. I'm your confidant to create the safe space for you to, really unlock your own chains and unleash your greatness. But it's with me in a safe environment. We can actually just let loose and say what you've been holding back on, because that's the way you release it. And that's what we can let go of to move forward in our journey of finding our voice. Not that people had to physically lose their voice, and to the degree that I did. I had like 20 vials of blood drawn. I was in the ER twice. That was pretty traumatic. I don't pray or wish that for anybody. I pray and hope for the opposite, that you never have to get to that extent. But I never spoke up. I just always suppressed my own voice, as I said earlier, until I physically, on the physical level, it was so deep that it affected me physically that I no longer was able to speak up. And not only speaking, I wasn't allowed to be with the public. I was told as I was in the ER that you're so contagious, you can no longer be with the public. So it wasn't a matter of me not speaking. I had sores on my vocal cords. It wasn't like laryngitis and, take a few days off. It was an actual virus that attacked my own vocal cords, where there were sores all over them. I couldn't swallow my own saliva without intense pain, like a match lit to my throat. And I didn't really even want to live. So it went to that extent of that level of people say, oh my God, that's pretty dramatic. And you know what? It was. So I don't want you to get to that level.
Oh my goodness. That was so graphic. And you're giving us a different take on the losing the voice. You didn't mention the virus and that it's contagious. That had to be beyond traumatic.
That was 2013. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. I know. But you're saying that while you were in the ER and the emergency, whatever, that it was contagious, and you that wasn't spoke to in the beginning. But that had to be beyond serious, beyond. So that you're doing this work now is great. But here's what I want to speak to, align with that somewhat before we go on the few minutes we have left here. Love, the universal language. It begins with knowing ourselves, but that's a journey. Our environment and our upbringing, no matter our parents, mom and dad, separate, together, however it plays out for the individual, they give us what they can. And sometimes we don't get enough of that. Love yourself. Know who you are, and you can do anything in a way that's honest. So we grow up. I grew up with that. You grew up with that in a different way, because we don't know how. We didn't know how. We do now, to ask for what we need. So I think the work that you're doing is beyond powerful. It's needed, but we have to begin to be honest with ourselves. I just think that what you're doing is just it's what can I say? It's something that, first off, there has to be an awakening, and now is a time for that, especially for people who want to be in leadership and want to do something that will leave a legacy. Now, you and I are beyond, and thank you for sharing all of that. We have 5 minutes left here, and I want you to talk about a group that you introduced me to that I'm over the moon about, because intuitively, at my heart and soul, connected the core of me, I know this is going to be something great. So tell us a little bit about the great discovery and how you came to it, and what and how you plan to utilize it for your business and what you're doing.
Thank you, Joy. Well, I was introduced to it a while back, and then Joy and I have been friends for a long time. I said, I got to let her know about this. It really is, it's a Six Sigma, fourth generation Six Sigma, which aligns with the voice blueprint, the pillars in the blueprint,
Yes.
because it takes you from vulnerability to empowerment, and it's utilizing the Six Sigma way of working, right? And that's what we do. We align with things that make sense to us. And when I was learning more about this and how it, works, I'm like, this is exactly what the voice blueprint does. And it takes people from the vulnerability space to empowerment. And it aligns with the Six Sigma way of doing business too. So I love that. And the fact that, there's voice translation. So if you want to reach countries and people in other languages, at the end of the day, we all speak the same language, and that
Yes.
is how we speak to ourselves, our voice. But with this company, you actually can go from the vulnerability to empowerment and speak your truth, have your reach to over 200 countries in over 100 languages, and to speak to your ideal clients, and to have a platform where you can be on that platform and put your content up there, and really just promote and have people promote you while you're on it, and get paid for it. So it's a great opportunity, and it aligns perfectly with what I am doing with the voice, getting your message out there, touching lives, lifting others. This rising tide lifts all ships, as they say. And that's what I'm here to do with the
Yeah.
women that I work with.
That's great. And there's so many fascinating facets about this opportunity. And the one that appealed to me, because most of us, Renee, today, no matter where we start and where we are global, international.
Yes,
We go everywhere. We speak to people all over the world. So why
absolutely.
not take your product, your service, and what you're offering, course creators, and all the others, into all of the other arenas that you can go into?
Yep.
So that's what's appealing about it. So I say bravo to you. Now, how thus far are you well, that's not really something that we can talk about. Let's end with this. The the end results of what you want your work to do for the men and women that you're working with. You want them to find their voice and take it from there.
Well, I help the individuals tap into their inner voice to overcome the barriers of that. So when you can tap into that, and I can guide them through that process within the pillars. Um, it's, as I said, tapping into the barriers to overcome the inner self-talk and rewire those beliefs to what you really want to be and who you want to become. And that's so important in this world because, as I said earlier on, what we do doesn't necessarily always align with who we are. But when you
Yeah,
can get into alignment and get those things in your life to work synergistically, then you really have tapped into your true voice, your authentic voice, who you are in this world.
absolutely. And Renee, you speak so much there that just resonates with me. I hope with the people who tune in here for now in the replay, is that we're self-taught, and so we have to start teaching ourselves if we miss something. And the honesty of knowing that you need support. I like your word guidance, because we all need that in different ways. I love it when people correct me, because how else do you grow? And especially when I know they're doing it with and for me in love. There's a big, big difference. And you spoke to something earlier. You said how we speak to ourselves and how we treat ourselves is how we treat others. And a lot of people aren't aware, because they're not honest enough with themselves to know that they're not delivering what they need to in love. And so that's what you're giving us, the opportunity to go inside and discover how to ask for in love what it is that you're worth. Love.
Absolutely true. I want to touch on something that's really important too. Our inner voice
Yes.
creates our outer world.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So while I guide my clients through that journey of finding their voice, their outer world transpires into a wonderful
Great.
transformation
I
into
love
what
that.
they want.
We're at the end now, my love. That's beautifully said. Put up your book and tell us about that one more time, and then we're going to say goodbye for now. The book.
Okay, so it's Finding Your Voice, Unlock Your Change, and Unleash Your Greatness. It's a very thin, powerful, and empowering and impactful read. 83 pages filled with great content, and it's a workbook within a book. So after each chapter, which is only about 2 pages, I pose questions to the reader, you, to enjoy your journey, and I take your hand along that journey of finding your voice. So please reach out to me. Let's connect and share our voices together.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. What a joy this was. It's my name, but you brought the joy tonight. And thank you, thank you, thank you. My engineer is going to put you in the green room, and I'll see you in just a second. And thank you, thank you, thank you. Until the next time. All righty. Woo! The time goes here. It goes so quickly, and I always run over. But let me say to you, always, I send you much, much love from my heart to your heart. Enjoy the rest of your week, and join us every chance you get. Be and stay well. Much love, my friends. So long for now. Cheers.